As people age, particularly after the age of 80, many begin to experience a quiet yet profound decline. This change is often attributed to genetics, poor health, or bad luck. But there's an overlooked factor that plays a critical role in how older adults age: the loss of microsocial engagement. Microsocial engagement refers to the small, seemingly insignificant social interactions that occur during daily life. These aren't deep conversations with close friends or regular family gatherings, but the quick hello to the mail carrier, a short exchange with the cashier at the store, or a nod to a neighbor walking by. These tiny moments once filled the day without much notice, but they provided essential emotional and neurological benefits. These small social exchanges help regulate the nervous system, strengthen the brain's social wiring, and provide a consistent sense of belonging. When people stop engaging in them, often due to mobility issues, hearing loss, or simply relying more on online services, they unknowingly remove a key part of their mental and emotional health. This loss is subtle and often goes unnoticed. Many older adults think they're just simplifying their lives by staying home more or avoiding casual chats. However, this shift quietly chips away at their vitality. The body and brain receive fewer signals that they are still part of the living, interactive world. Over time, this can lead to feelings of isolation, depression, and cognitive decline. Scientific research supports the idea that loneliness and lack of social stimulation have biological effects. They raise inflammation levels, weaken the immune system, and can even shrink brain networks related to memory and attention. What looks like ordinary aging may actually be the result of a shrinking social world. The good news is that these effects can be slowed or even reversed by intentionally maintaining small daily connections. A 5-minute walk to a local coffee shop, greeting the same familiar faces, or having a brief chat with a neighbor can be incredibly powerful. These micro-interactions give structure to the day, a sense of accountability, and a feeling of being seen. People over 80 don't necessarily need major life changes to stay sharp and vibrant. What they need is continuity in routine, in interaction, and in the subtle messages that remind their body and brain they still matter. In the end, it's not always the big things that keep us alive, it's the accumulation of small, meaningful moments. If you're aging or caring for someone who is, don't overlook the power of casual social encounters. They might seem trivial, but they could be the very thing that keeps the spirit and body engaged for years to come. As people grow older, especially after turning 80, they often hear one common piece of advice: be careful. And while caution can be wise, there's a fine line between being careful and becoming overly cautious, a line that, once crossed, can quietly accelerate decline. Overcautious inactivity begins innocently. A slip on the stairs, a moment of lost balance, or a minor injury might cause someone to limit their movement. Family and friends often support this shift, encouraging the person to take it easy. As a result, activities like daily walks, bending to pick things up, or even climbing into the back seat of a car are slowly abandoned. But what many don't realize is that when movement stops, strength does too, not just in the muscles, but also in coordination, balance, and inner stability. The human body isn't like a machine that benefits from rest. It's more like a garden that thrives on regular attention. When physical activity slows or stops, the body doesn't simply pause, it begins to weaken. One of the first areas to suffer is the core, the deep muscles that support balance and mobility. Even a few weeks without regular use can cause these muscles to shrink. This leads to instability, further discouraging movement, and thus deepening the cycle of inactivity and weakness. Take, for example, the story of Walter, an 82-year-old man who used to walk a mile every evening. After slipping on a rainy day with no serious injury, he decided to stop his walks entirely. 6 months later, he had lost 10 pounds of muscle and found it hard to stand for long. He didn't stop because he was too weak to walk. He became weak because he stopped walking. This pattern is common, yet misunderstood. People think they're protecting themselves from harm when in fact, they're quietly surrendering their strength. Of course, real precautions like handrails, stable shoes, cleared walkways, and even using a cane are smart and necessary. But living in fear of movement leads the body to forget how to move. To stay healthy and vibrant beyond 80, continued motion is essential, even if it's slower, more deliberate, or assisted. Every step, stretch, or bend reminds the body that it's still needed. Movement keeps systems like circulation, digestion, balance, and mental alertness engaged. So, if you or someone you care for has begun doing less, not because of true physical limits, but because of fear, it's important to ask, am I staying safe, or am I slowly disappearing? Staying alive is more than avoiding risk. It's about engaging with life through motion. The body, when used with care and purpose, retains its strength and vitality far longer than most people think. And often, the first step back toward well-being is just that one small, confident step forward. As we age, one of the most overlooked factors that influences our health and longevity is something we rarely think about: light and how it affects our sleep cycles. After the age of 80, the body's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, becomes increasingly sensitive and easier to disrupt. When this rhythm falls out of sync, it can quietly begin to undermine energy, memory, mood, and even physical health. The circadian rhythm regulates key bodily functions: sleep, alertness, metabolism, immune response, and mental clarity. And it relies heavily on natural light signals to stay on track. Morning sunlight tells the brain it's time to wake up and be active, while darkness at night cues the release of melatonin, a hormone that helps us wind down and sleep deeply. But in modern life, especially for older adults, these natural signals can get lost. After 80, many people spend most of their days indoors. They might stop going outside regularly due to cold weather, mobility issues, or simple routine changes. They may nap more during the day and keep lights on late into the evening, watching TV or reading under artificial lighting. Slowly, this mix of too little daylight and too much nighttime brightness starts to confuse the body's timing system. The result is often fragmented sleep. It becomes harder to fall asleep, stay asleep, or feel truly rested. Even after spending 8 hours in bed, many older adults wake up groggy, with low energy and foggy thinking. Over time, this chronic disruption doesn't just cause fatigue, it weakens the immune system, worsens mood stability, and can increase the risk of cognitive decline. There's also the issue of vitamin D, which is naturally produced when the skin is exposed to sunlight. After 80, the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D declines. Without regular outdoor exposure, the body may not get enough, leading to weaker bones, lower muscle strength, and reduced immune defense. A simple example illustrates the power of light. An 84-year-old woman named Helen had been feeling unusually tired and mentally foggy. Her diet was healthy, and her lab results were normal. Her doctor didn't prescribe a drug. Instead, he advised her to sit by a sunny window every morning for 20 minutes and to turn off screens at least 1 hour before bed. In just 2 weeks, her sleep, mood, and memory significantly improved. The change? Light. To support healthy sleep and energy after 80, consider these practical tips. Get outside within an hour of waking up. Even 10 to 20 minutes of morning sunlight helps reset the internal clock. Keep curtains open during the day to maximize exposure to natural light. Reduce screen time and artificial light in the evening, especially blue light from phones and TVs. Dim indoor lighting after sunset to prepare your body for rest. Stick to a regular sleep schedule, even on weekends, to reinforce rhythm. These small habits may seem insignificant, but they send powerful signals to the body: we're awake, we're resting, we're in sync. And that sense of rhythm is a cornerstone of long-term health. Aging isn't just about wear and tear, it's also about disorganization. When the systems in the body fall out of alignment, things begin to break down more quickly. But when the body and brain receive clear signals through light and routine, they can stay alert, balanced, and strong. So, if you or a loved one is spending too much time indoors, sleeping at odd hours, or relying on artificial light late into the night, consider a reset. A little more light in the day, a little less at night, and a bit more rhythm in between may be all it takes to start feeling younger, healthier, and more energized. By the time someone reaches their 80s, they have often lived through profound loss, the kind that accumulates slowly but deeply. A spouse, a sibling, lifelong friends, sometimes even a child. These are not just memories of people gone, but emotional imprints that shape the way one experiences the world. Yet, as common as these losses are, their emotional weight is rarely addressed. Instead, many older adults quietly carry grief without expression, and that unspoken sorrow can have serious consequences. This silent habit of emotional suppression isn't always a conscious choice. It often comes from the belief that one should be used to it by now, or from the feeling that no one else can truly understand the depth of the loss. For some, it's about appearing strong, holding back tears and keeping a brave face, even when the heart feels heavy. But the body doesn't forget what the mind tries to hide. When grief isn't processed, not talked about, not expressed, not fully felt, it doesn't simply disappear. Instead, it becomes stored in the body. Over time, that hidden emotional burden can lead to physical effects: weakened immune function, sleep issues, changes in appetite, hormone imbalance, and chronic tension in the nervous system. What might appear on the outside as calm or stoicism can actually be quiet suffering. Consider George, an 86-year-old man who lost his wife of 60 years. He told everyone he was fine. He didn't cry much, didn't talk about her, and claimed to be coping well. But over the following year, he lost weight, withdrew from social life, and started having trouble sleeping. His decline wasn't caused by illness, it was the result of grief that had nowhere to go. This kind of emotional pain doesn't need to be dramatic to be damaging. Suppressed emotions often live quietly in the background, slowly draining vitality. Many people assume it's just part of aging, but in reality, it's unresolved grief expressing itself through the body. Healing doesn't require grand gestures. What it does require is emotional ventilation, safe and honest ways to release sadness, fear, anger, and longing. It might be talking to a trusted friend, writing in a journal, attending a support group, or simply saying aloud, "I miss her," or "I feel alone." These small acts of honesty allow the heart to breathe again. Those who live well into old age often have emotional outlets. Some pray, some write, others seek therapy, and many rely on community. What matters is not the method, but the release. Because what is expressed can be processed. And what is buried tends to fester. Creating emotional space is not a sign of weakness, it's an act of strength and self-care. Releasing grief doesn't mean forgetting those who've been lost, it means making room for healing, for peace, for the parts of life that still remain. If you or a loved one in their later years has been feeling heavier, quieter, or less alive. It might not be due to age or illness. It could be the emotional weight of unspoken sorrow. And while the world may expect silence, your well-being demands expression. At any age, but especially after 80, letting yourself feel isn't just healthy, it's essential for staying alive not only in body, but in spirit. Because the heart, just like the body, needs room to move, stretch, release, and recover. So if you've been holding something in grief, loneliness, regret, it's time to let it out. Not just to ease your mind, but to renew your life. Because true longevity isn't just about the number of years you live. It's about how fully your heart can still feel within them. One of the most subtle yet significant reasons many people struggle to thrive beyond the age of 80 isn't illness, injury, or memory loss. It's the slow disappearance of something we all need, often without realizing it: daily purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or philosophical. It doesn't mean having a career or a big mission. Instead, it's about the simple, everyday reasons to get up in the morning, watering the plants, preparing breakfast, feeding a pet, writing a letter, or saying hello to someone next door. These small tasks may seem minor, but they provide essential structure, motivation, and a sense of meaning. As people age, many of the routines that once shaped their days begin to fade. Retirement ends the regular workweek. Friends move away or pass on. Social groups shrink. Physical limitations may make hobbies or volunteering harder. Family visits may become less frequent. And over time, without realizing it, the days begin to blend together. The mind may rationalize this as normal aging, but the body and spirit feel the change. When there's no reason to rise and move, appetite drops, energy decreases, and sleep becomes fragmented. The body's systems, digestion, cognition, immunity, don't just function automatically. They respond to rhythm, movement, and engagement. Without purpose, those systems quietly go offline, not because they are broken, but because they are waiting for a signal to wake up. There's a well-known idea in gerontology: the body stays alive as long as it believes it's needed. When someone feels relevant, when they feel like their presence still matters to someone or something, the body works to sustain that life. But when that sense of usefulness fades, so can the will to keep going. Take Ruth, an 88-year-old woman who exemplifies this truth. She didn't have a large family, perfect health, or a busy social calendar. But she had a steady routine with simple yet meaningful tasks. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins from her church. Every Thursday, she made soup and froze it for a local shelter. And every afternoon, she sat by the window to wave at the neighborhood children walking home from school. These moments gave her day texture and her heart rhythm. Her life wasn't glamorous, but it had continuity, and that made all the difference. These daily actions were reminders: I still have something to give. I still belong here. So, if you or someone you love has been feeling adrift, if the days feel empty, repetitive, or without direction, that may not just be sadness. It could be the body and soul asking for purpose again. Fortunately, restoring purpose doesn't require major changes. It starts with something small, something regular, and something meaningful, even if it only takes 5 minutes. A call to a friend. A plant that needs watering. A note to a grandchild. A prayer. A journal. A walk to greet the sunrise. The consistency of purpose, not its size, is what fuels resilience in older age. It's the steady heartbeat beneath longevity. In the end, living well after 80 isn't just about keeping the body alive. It's about giving it a reason to stay alive. And often, the smallest purposes are the strongest ones. If you've been drifting without a daily reason to move, create one. Not for productivity, but for meaning. Because longevity isn't just about heartbeats, it's about having a heart that still wants to beat. Most people don't begin to decline after 80 because of a dramatic event, not a fall, a diagnosis, or a birthday. The real turning point is often far quieter, the slow fading of daily habits, meaningful connections, and life rhythms. These shifts are so subtle that they're easy to miss until one day, life feels smaller, dimmer, or more disconnected than before. But just as this fading happens gradually, the good news is, it can be reversed gradually, too. Longevity isn't just about adding more years to life, it's about filling those years with presence, connection, and purpose. And the path back doesn't require massive effort or radical change. It starts with one small step, a walk around the block, a casual conversation, a stretch in the morning, or a task that brings shape to the day. Reclaiming vitality after 80 is about returning to what makes you feel alive, the everyday actions that remind your brain and body that you still matter. Whether it's restoring a sleep routine, re-engaging with others, or finding purpose in small routines, these decisions send a clear signal to your whole being: we're still here. Life is still happening. Think back to the 5 unexpected reasons that quietly shorten life. Loss of small social interactions. Becoming too cautious and inactive. Disrupted sleep due to irregular light exposure. Suppressed emotions from unprocessed grief. Gradual loss of daily purpose. Which of these felt most familiar to you? Which one are you willing to gently act on today? Aging well isn't about avoiding the passage of time. It's about choosing to live in a way that honors your body, emotions, and spirit. You don't need to be perfect, just present, curious, and willing to reconnect with the small but powerful rhythms that bring life meaning. You have more power than you think. And if you start paying attention to the quiet shifts, if you begin to protect your routines, express your feelings, and create even a small sense of purpose, you can continue to age with energy, clarity, and dignity. Because true longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living fully.